2014 Ford Focus, suffering from hesitation, an imbalance, a misfire in the engine at low RPM upon startup, and the hesitation was very noticeable around 1,000 RPM into maybe 1,500 RPM, and it was also noticeable skip on the highway. Now, noticeable to someone who is a mechanic like myself that kind of pays attention to this stuff. Other people might not notice it. They might just think it's a rough running at startup. So what I had done is, when I got the car, it had this problem, and I didn't want to dump a lot of money into it and start replacing things. So I went ahead and gapped the original spark plugs, which are right here. And these look like they're probably factory. Now, what was interesting is these are iridium plugs, and you shouldn't have to gap them at all. But there was severe uneven gapping between the plugs. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't even close to spec, and the plugs themselves weren't even close to each other. So I re-gapped them, and that didn't solve the problem. I drove it for another month or two, and today I decided I was going to spend some money and see what I come up with. My hunch was the spark plugs, and it's also the cheapest thing to replace. Now, iridium plugs should last 100,000 miles or more, and it's really uncalled for to replace them at 57,000 miles. But, like I said, this was the cheapest alternative. I put my code reader on the car. There were no errors at all. So I went ahead and got 4 new plugs. That's the model number right there. Don't gap them because they're pre-factory gapped and you can break the electrodes on them. I installed them, and boom, the problem is solved. There's no question about it. The problem is solved. Now, make sure if you replace plugs on this, you put iridium plugs in it. You cannot use platinum plugs or standard copper tip plugs. Iridium plugs have very different electrical characteristics that will not work correctly, and if you put them on, the engine will run very rough. It'll probably throw a code on the console there. It'll put on the engine light. So don't do it. Stick with iridium. There's a reason. Okay, well, good luck. I hope this helps anyone who might have a rough running engine. Of course, this is the 2-liter American-based engine, naturally aspirated. Okay. All right. Enjoy.